It's true. Hot News is back on UFD Tech officially and forever, barring any unforeseen apocalypse. This is something that has been in discussion and in the works behind the scenes for quite some time, with the team here at UFD Media coming to the conclusion that yes, this is the best choice for both the channels as a whole, for our mental health, as well as for the longevity of the business and for the community at large. Hot News has kind of always been a subdivision of UFD Tech as far as its own branding, and now will just be on the UFD Tech channel permanently because of many different reasons, and I'm going to kind of go into them and explain what's been going on behind the scenes, and hopefully for those of you who are wondering why does this keep happening, we can set the record straight on that. So the birth of this channel, of the Hot News channel, happened back in 2019. We were growing at a record pace. UFD Tech had 7 employees and things were going swimmingly. I felt that Hot News by itself was its own brand that deserved its own channel, and so we split them off and we're able to keep up with videos on UFD Tech as well as Hot News because we had 7 people working on it that we could potentially put out a Hot News every day, as well as UFD Tech very, very regularly. But as many of you who have been following our journey since that time know, there was an emergency with my son's health. We had to uproot our entire lives, move on, come back to the United States, and that led to half of the staff being laid off, which meant that we couldn't actually sustain 2 channels at that point. So the channels were recombined. Now, since that point, there has been something in the back of my head saying that we need to return to the way it was back in 2019, back when we had a large staff, we were chugging things out, and we need to actually divide the channels again. And I think that it came out of a great place of me wanting to return to what we used to be without recognizing that it's just likely not going to be something that will happen in the foreseeable future, on top of the fact that many people in the community, as well as on our staff, always believe that Hot News never should have left the UFD Tech channel in the first place. So that leads us to the splitting that happened back in 2020. As my team had to leave America, we decided to split the channels for clearer vision between the two, and then we recombined them towards the beginning of this year for financial reasons, just to be quite honest. We actually weren't making enough money to keep things going on 2 separate channels. But in February, we actually brought on a couple new employees, Kyler and Abby, so that we could start focusing on putting out more content on UFD Tech and putting out videos every day on Hot News. And so at that point, the channels were once again separated because I believe that we were going to have a smooth time going forward. But unfortunately, those new hires didn't quite pan out the way that I was hoping that they would. We actually don't have Abby working here at UFD Tech any longer, and so it is just Kyler and I working on everything, and then we have the Hot News team in South Africa, and we've been trying to figure out how do we run Hot News in UFD Tech. And the truth is, the thing that we have come to the conclusion on is that we shouldn't be trying to do that anymore, and I think I needed the most convincing that we will not be getting back to the place that we were at 2019. Instead, we need to just focus on the singular vision that we have in front of us, that we should focus on making one channel great, and that's it. We don't need 2 separate channels to do everything that I'm envisioning, that the team is envisioning, and that everybody wants from us. To bring you the highest quality content, we need to simplify rather than diversify, and I think with the loss that we experienced in 2019 of everything with the company, I wasn't ready to admit that. And I think within the last year, I've finally come around to the idea that just because we're not getting back to that place doesn't mean that we can't forge something new and beautiful that is different from what the initial vision was. Because the truth is, it did feel like we had everything ripped from us in 2019. If I could just be brutally honest with everybody for a second, it felt like there has been absolutely no closure in my life personally and professionally since we had to leave South Africa. There are just so many things that in the back of my mind I have been trying to reclaim that we are just not able to do. And as I've gone through a whole lot of changes on the back end, I think that I'm now ready to accept that we have to march forward with a different vision, and it is not about getting back to what we had. It's no longer about me feeling like we lost something back in 2019, but rather we're now going to be gaining clearer vision, clearer purpose, and a clearer direction for everybody involved. I'm excited for the future. We are not going to be switching again. It's not happening. My team has made it very clear that we cannot do this to our audience, and we can't do it to the people who are working behind the scenes either, but we all believe that it is in the company's and our personal best interest to refuse the two and stop trying to diversify where we don't need to. But we have a lot of good stuff coming through on the back end that you don't see just yet. We have new people working for us who are actually changing the way that UFD Tech is going to be run. There's new, clearer vision that's happening behind the scenes that we can't wait to bring to you. And so I thank you for bearing with us. I thank you for parting our dust in this entire operation. We are done with hot news on this channel. It's a simple logistical issue. You can get your beautiful daily dose of breakfast over on UFD Tech, and I'd love to see you there. Thank you for working with us on this.